I with this high-pitched voice coming out of this different kind of body.
Everything I say, you know, is buff. I'm anti-shot-D, and I gotta be tough.
Let me tell you, when I moved here, the biggest rapper in the club was MC Shy-D.
Shy-D had the whole swag. He had the big chains and the Cadillacs, and he had the New York acts, the superstar. But Raheem was like the Godfather.
Everybody that's checking out today, I'm Raheem the Dream.
Raheem the Dream. You know, just kind of good party music.
Who I got DJing? DJ Toon. Now y'all know him as the most famous DJ Toon. So he was my DJ, and he's sick.
Remember how Will Smith used to, same thing, Raheem and DJ Toon. You know what I mean? So we just really took over the city.
DJ Toon was a great DJ back in the 80s. I mean, man, when I saw that brother, he was taking his shoe off, cutting with his shoe, putting his mouth on the crossfader.
To get that respect and the door started to crack open, I think JD had a lot to do with that, and So Def.
I was the youngest producer to ever have a #1 record. I started this back in '83.
What up? What's going on, y'all?
I went on tour as a dancer on the New York City Fresh Fest. And this was back when I was in 6th grade.
This is the rapper John Lil. This is the great Grandmaster. This is my brother Dynasty. Twins, this is Jermaine.
I met Jermaine Dupri when I was in high school. He used to dance during the Fresh Festival tours, so he was already a part of the industry because his father used to promote tours.
High school for me was making beats and trying to get in the music industry.
It's just a woman in me.
I think with JD's early experiences and just being exposed to not only hip-hop outside of Atlanta,
Real well raising hell with the ATL globe.
and then after that came the explosion.
I was at the mall with the DJ from Silk Times Leather, and we had just been in a Jet magazine. We just walked through the mall, and nobody was really recognizing us. And we was in the magazine, and everybody was paying attention to these guys. And me and her was both like, they must be somebody from like Nickelodeon or something, like, or one of these children's shows that we don't know about. They had a magic and an aura about them that made people pay attention to them without music. We just basically started following them through Greenbrier Mall. I just had to walk up to them and I'm like, yo, what do y'all do? Who are you? And it's like, we don't do nothing. We just from around here. And I'm giving you the nice version, because they was really, really like mean, like little West Side kids that didn't want to be bothered with me. I'm like, wow, they ain't even no group. They ain't even in the entertainment business. And people are loving these kids. My mind just went crazy at that point. I actually saw what happened to Kriss Kross in the mall right at that particular moment, right then and there.
Kriss Kross was huge.
How big was Kriss Kross? I don't think they could have gotten any bigger.
After the success of Kriss Kross, Jermaine got his own label, So Def Recordings.
The success of Kriss Kross basically just spawned everything for me. Columbia, they was like, this guy just made an artist that sold 8 million records, so we not going to let him go nowhere.
Here we go. Come on.
We knew Jermaine. See, like, Atlanta is a small-knit group of people, really, back then. Jermaine, Dallas, we sat amongst each other. We knew each other from dancing to Jelly Beans, from being skating and all of this other stuff, talent shows. It was just a big family.
Dallas Austin was actually like the first producer from Atlanta to get global recognition.
I did Joyce Irby, Cinderella Irby with Dougie Fresh, the song called Hey Mr. DJ.
Dallas was the first cat from the hood who produced something outside of what we were doing, and it was major.
like Dallas was at my house. I was going to Dallas' house. All of this stuff, ABC, Boys II Men, all of these records that was made in Atlanta and everything that was happening, we all was like damn near there watching it happen, like looking at it and supporting it at the same time.
It was just a big family.
The A-Town stunt, dog.
So Jermaine and Kriss Kross was really the candlelight for us. Because it said these were some regular kids. Greenbrier Mall, you seen them all the time. You know what I mean? You seen them. That actually got an opportunity to get on. That inspired everyone else to say, you know, we can do this. But what Kriss Kross lacked was a true identity of Atlanta.
Even though we had pop success in terms of Kriss Kross, TLC, Arrested Development, we did have that national exposure. But in terms of being respected for hip hop, not at all. It was like we wasn't here. It's like we didn't exist, really.
At that time, you could go to clubs in Atlanta and they'll say, "Is New York in the house?" I'd be like, "Oh, y'all ain't from New York. I know y'all ain't from New York, but that's cool, because we love New York."
We had so much admiration for the East Coast MCs, and we loved the West Coast MCs, but there just wasn't anyone speaking the way we talked.
We weren't represented when we went to party. We hadn't made a stamp that made people proud to be from Atlanta. It's everything that was prideful about hip-hop was from somewhere else.
I'm Jam Master Jay, this is Run DMC, and welcome to Yo MTV Rap.
This speech is my recital. I think it's very vital to rock around. That's right.
On time.
It's tricky. It's so tight. Here we go.
When Yo MTV Raps came out, we was like, we looked, we said, well, we don't see nothing from the South, nothing from Atlanta. We saw New York, New York, New York, LA, New York, LA, New York, New York.
I don't know if it was disrespect as much as it's not relevant. You're not part of this discussion.
I had to fly these companies to Atlanta. You know, if I wanted MTV at my party, I had to pay for it.
It's not that easy.
Yeah.
Angel for Arnell on this microphone. You want another freestyle? Well, once again, it's on.
Arnell Star really opened the door for a lot of Atlanta artists trying to get in the game back then.
For every Saturday night, late night, man, that was your BET, that was your VH1, you know, Arnell Star, American Rap Makers, man.
East Side Boys, Lil Jon in the house.
He just gave local guys like myself a chance to get on television and, you know, put our, like, video that cost $500 on TV.
You don't want to change the channel, keep it right there. We put it in effect on American Music Maker, boy.
For Atlanta, late 80s, early 90s, American Rap Makers was the biggest thing on earth. But as the popularity of rap grew nationally, then naturally you want to be able to say, hey, I got a part in this as much as anybody. But it wasn't like that back then.
You had to pretty much be from New York to get that notoriety so that you can be on the couch with Fab Five Freddy.
The fight was New York. We wanted New York. We wanted New York respect. We felt like that's where hip-hop came from. We had to crack it open.
My name is Ray Murray, 1/3 of Organized Noise. The Dungeon family's father producers, you know, the founders of the Dungeon family, myself, Rico Wade, Sleepy Brown.
My name is Rico Wade, 1/3 of Organized Noise, 1/13 of the Dungeon family, A-Town. Yeah. The Dungeon was my mother's basement. You could smoke weed, have girls over.
That's right, Organized Noise, J-O-Y.
We all got sleeping bags. We started crashing on the floors and stuff. It was a working environment. All we did was do music. And we produced a group called PA.
Parental Advisory. We did that with Savvy Records.
I got a game plan. I'm gonna put that boy down with me one day. He gonna be my DJ. we was hitting the road, because we was going on the road, me and 2 Live Crew. We was doing tours with the Fat Boys, Heavy D, Salt and Pepper, and we was the only groups coming out of the South.
Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it.
C1 Michael Jackson, V103 Will Triple. The town sound is on V103.
In terms of radio in Atlanta, rap music, it was still so underground to a degree, even for it to be, you know, the late 80s, early 90s, it still was just, it wasn't commercial. It was only the Fresh Party with my man Darren Fears on V103 where we could get, you know, a couple of hours of some good hip hop.
Atlanta wasn't supporting Atlanta rap. Atlanta was based off New York rap.
This is the king doing his thing. It's me, Edward J, I say, rocking Atlanta, GA, making the cater sound much greater. Yeah. I am the king of the mixtape in Atlanta, GA.
From the K-I-N-G, that's me, the king.
I just had fun putting records on cassettes for myself. And a couple other guys would come by and they said, oh, I like the way you did that mix. Would you do one for my friend?
Sometimes I want a host to do it on the floor.
At that time, I was charging, let's see, a nifty $13.50 for a 90-minute rock with the king.
J-Team gonna get this party started.
Edward J had the streets on lock, the radio at the time. They were the radio of Atlanta.
Edward J I used to love because I used to steal the tapes from my older cousins. Like, they would leave their cars in the garage and I would steal what I could get. Whether it was some money or, you know, to get me some shoes. You know, it might have been a lot of money, but I didn't know any better. But what I really wanted was those tapes. You feel me?
Peace up, A-Town down. Yeah!
When I first got to the music scene was a mixture of a few things, but hip-hop wise, it was mainly like an offshoot of the Miami bass sound.
I took the reggae sound of the deep bass and I said, this is what the bass need to sound like. So then end up getting the 808 drum machine, and so that was actual Miami bass.
Anything by Luke was really, really popular, so a lot of the Miami bass sound was floating here through Atlanta.
The late 80s, early 90s, Atlanta started developing their own style with the bass music.
Then out of nowhere comes this great rapper, Kilo Ali.
America, America, America.
I am Kilo Ali. What my position was Atlanta bass artist. I followed Luke, but you know, it was a lot of parts to Kilo.
There's a white girl in town, name is Cocaine. Get inside your mind.
Kilo pushed the envelope. He would talk about things that was a little bit more rated R maybe than what we would talk about.
Kilo's first big record was Cocaine, and it was an anti-cocaine song. That record was telling you not to do drugs.
Cocaine says she loves you, but she really don't. She say I always be there, but she really won't.
I think that was Southern rap's first double entendre.
You don't wanna lose her, so you do what you were told.
Kilo took the booty shake beats and really talked about hood things on the beats, like the Cocaine record. I still came out in the days of the gold envelopes with the marijuana and the crack sacks and stuff like that, and the prostitutes, they were great. I loved them.
And he had beefs with People Sam from Zone 3.
Cold motivator, hip hop destroyer, to survive. Just like I came up strong.
If you don't talk about Hitman Sammy Sam, you are not talking about Atlanta.
Cause I'm a heavyweight fighter on the microphone.
If you want to know how violent, wild, drug-crazed Atlanta is, because the newspaper didn't do a good job of telling you. Atlanta's always been a safe, sanctified city. They hide their dirt well. And Sam put it right on display for you. Brutal and honest.
I hit him in the mouth with the two-tough rap. The creator heard, and he took him a nap.
You had the drug culture, which was transitioning from just marijuana to cocaine.
Good evening. Drugs are menacing our society. They're threatening our values and undercutting our institutions. They're killing our children.
I mean, crack was like the new it. We didn't know it was an epidemic. We just thought it was the new thing. You know what I mean? We didn't know it was going to destroy families and destroy neighborhoods. We just saw the money and the potential and what it was. So if you're a young kid and you coming home from school and you serving a couple fiends so you can make sure you got Jordans for next week, what's wrong with that?
Today, there's a new epidemic. Smokable cocaine, otherwise known as crack.
The area that I lived in, you couldn't walk to the bus stop without seeing, 000 bags, 00 bags, or broken up crack pipes, or, you know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't, it was everywhere. I was 12 years old, came to school to sell crack, and that was, my entry into the drug trade.
People in the communities is just totally destroyed. It's affecting the futures. And so it was a very turbulent time. And I think the music responded in a way that was perfect.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, my name is Speech from the group Arrested Development.
Here, have $1. In fact, no, brother, man. Here, have $2.
For us, it was like, the black community in particular, our community, what we're seeing on a daily basis is the state of arrested development. So we're gonna make songs that's gonna lift them up, get them out of that state, move us forward.
Lord, I've really been real stressed, down and out, losing ground. Although I am black and brown, problems got me pessimistic.
When Arrested Development came out, we knew that what we was doing had not been done yet in hip-hop. You have to put yourself in the frame of mind of where hip-hop was at the time. At the time, hip-hop was New York. LA was bubbling, but the South really wasn't bubbling.
I know you're supposed to be my steering wheel, not just my spare tire.
This is before the days of Drake, where you could sing and rhyme. At that time, Run DMC was sort of like, we rhyme, we don't sing. But we knew that we could bring that right mixture to where it didn't compromise the rebellious or the hard feel of hip-hop, but we could still
pops up in New York every summer. So me being in New York and me being talking about they rappers and whatnot, and I be trying to tell them about Kilo. Man, nobody want to hear that, man. Come on, man. Nobody want to hear that Bama music, man. Listen to some DOS Effects and brand. This EPMD. Word.
Atlanta hip-hop.
In the business, he brought that to Atlanta and planted the seeds early.
Smooth and suave, if I must add you clean. Here's a couple of things about the SILK.
A lot of people don't know that Jermaine had a label deal on Ichiban with a kid called JVR and the Straight Jackets. And then he had Silk's Time Leather, which we just
following real close to what Kriss Kross was, meaning it was emulation of East Coast hip-hop.